It was my pleasure to catch up with offensive line coach and run game coordinator Frank Pollack in the trenches with Dave Lapham, brought to you by First Star Logistics. And he was outstanding as always, as are our studios here at First Star Logistics and the building that we're in at First Star Logistics. All brand spanking new. Coach Pollack, though, he's been around the Bengals for a little bit of time, and he's got some linemen that have got some experience with him, with the Cincinnati Bengals for a little bit of time. He's also got some new veteran free agents. He's also got some new rookies and some college free agents. And right now the challenge is, after OTAs, mini camp, kind of meshing a little bit, unlearning terminology, learning new terminology, introducing them to the new techniques, and hit the ground running at training camp. Boy, I'll tell you, I'm excited about this offensive line. It might be the biggest in captivity. I don't think there's any bigger, but I think it's athletic as well. And I think they're going to put together some big games for the skill players. I mean, I think it's going to be very exciting. Coach Pollack is looking forward to it. They're tweaking some things offensively in the run game and the pass game. I'm looking forward to what Joe Burrow and company get done this season. Frank Pollack, always entertaining. Certainly do appreciate you joining us in the trenches with Dave Lapham, brought to you by First Star Logistics. As always, we're coming to you from the studios, the outstanding studios provided by First Star Logistics. And we moved to this new building, and man, it's awesome. It's well appointed. First Star's taking care of us. And boy, is this guy taking care of us. This is a guest that everybody loves. One of my favorites. This guy is the offensive line coach for the Cincinnati Bengals. He is also the run game coordinator for the Cincinnati Bengals. He played 8 years in the National Football League as an offensive lineman. I think this is your 18th year coaching in offensive line in the NFL, coach? Something like that, isn't it?
Something, yeah.
Man.
Close. Something like that.
Crazy.
Just go. Don't count. Just go.
Here we go. Offensive line coach. And run game coordinator Frank Pollack. Coach, appreciate you, sir.
Yeah, appreciate you. Thanks for having me on.
So, we talk about the OTAs, the mini camps. They just come to a conclusion. I know you're spending a little time with family. Where are you, Coach? Where were we communicating from right here, right now?
I'm in Flagstaff, Arizona.
Nice.
So it's where I went to school. This is where Northern Arizona University is located. So,
nice.
Paradise in the Pines, as they say.
Paradise in the Pines. Spending some good downtime with the family. You just finished OTAs and the mini camp, and you got some veterans that you brought in free agency. You have draft picks, you have college free agents, and now it's time to mix and meld and mold and get everybody together. How's it going so far? How do you feel after the OTAs and the mini camps? Is it coming along?
Yeah, I mean, I feel really good where we're at. I mean, as far as the off season is concerned, you're just out there in your shorts, and you get a couple weeks of working with helmets on. You're limited from an offensive lineman standpoint.
Sure.
As far as the physicality and the fits, but the stuff that we can work on as far as the classroom stuff, teaching guys the system and introducing some new concepts and new wrinkles to our offense from last season. And just getting the guys to understand what we want to teach from a technique standpoint, the footwork standpoint, and working on some protection sets and angles and a couple punching variety. I'm pleased with where we're at.
So you mentioned some tweaks, and are you speaking specifically the run game? Or are you speaking offensively overall, or both?
Both, just overall offensively. I mean, every year you're looking to tweak and make your system better. Add to some stuff. You do self-scout study, you do leak studies in all phases, run and pass, and you're gonna eliminate some stuff that maybe wasn't so good for you, and you're gonna add and build on and tweak things from last year or add things that are completely new.
It is interesting. I mean, I always flash back to the first one that I went to, the first mini camp as such, and boy, okay, it's the National Football League, it's not college football anymore, and the techniques are are a little bit different. But you're always, you played in the offensive line. You're coached at the highest level in the offensive line. You have a unique perspective in that you seem to, okay, look, here's what I want done, but there might be a compromise with what you've done from a footwork standpoint or whatever. You seem to be able to allow guys to have a little bit of freedom as they're adapting or adjust to what you want to get done from a technique footwork standpoint.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to have things that you're going to hang your hat on, some core convictions, but some older guys who maybe been other places and have done, excuse me, a couple different things that might be a little bit different. If it doesn't really impact how the rest of the line works or what we're teaching as far as what the backs read and his angle of entry, if it doesn't deter to those issues, I'm all for a guy doing something that he's really comfortable and he's excelled at. It's been good for him. So, excuse me, you're gonna have a system that you want to incorporate and utilize based on tied to, from the run game perspective, the back's tracks or what you're doing in the pass game as far as the quarterback's launch points. But if it doesn't conflict with those areas, yeah, you're going to want to do something that the player has done and had success and feel more, most comfortable with. You're always looking to add tools in the toolbox, is the phrase you hear coaches say, and you're like, hey, you've got three choices, whatever you feel most comfortable with. I mean, that's on a variety of things. It could only be maybe something that you're full work into a block or a set angle or a hand strike angle or a recovery tool that you teach guys. A lot of those areas are things that, hey, what do you feel more comfortable at when you're in a recovery mode, let's say in a pass set and you get kind of in a bind? Here are the tools that you can utilize in these situations. What works best for you? What do you feel more comfortable doing? And we're going to drill all those. And like you said, we brought in a couple of veteran guys that have been elsewhere, learned some other things, and they can kind of help raise the room's tools in that area as well. So that's all part of the natural process for me on an annual basis with the group.
So from a football IQ standpoint, the veteran guys that you brought in obviously have been exposed to a lot of football. What about the draft picks and the college free agents? I mean, are they pretty adept? I mean, they picking it up pretty quickly. Are they kind of unlearning and relearning? That's always a challenge during this period of time before you get into training camp and even during training camp.
Yeah, I mean, they're learning to speak our language. So you get into football's kind of funny that way. A lot of times words are similar between, it doesn't matter if it's college to pro or just different teams in the NFL.
Right.
But that word might mean a little something different if X, Y, and Z happens. Our adjustment off of that is this, not this. So there's more than one ways to skin a cat, if you will. It's just really fine tuning and learning the language. And the three rookies that we got, real smart. They understand ball. They picked up a lot. They've done a really good job in that regards, and comprehending it. You learn a lot about a guy just based on the questions he asks. So the interaction with all three rookies from the moment with Zooms after we signed them to all the way through OTAs and minicamp I've been impressed with them. They've done a good job in that regard. I mean, they're like every other rookie. Their cup's pretty full right now.
Sure.
They get a lot of offense thrown at them, but they've done a nice job handling it.
And then meshing with the addition as run game coordinator, you're interested to see, what the new additions at the running back position, how they might fit, the schematic. And Moss seems to be the ideal fit to what inside, outside zone gap stuff. I mean, I know you've probably got things that you're tweaking and adding to, but that seems to be the core of your running game. Are you happy with how it's all meshing with the running backs as well?
Yeah, and I think the backs have done a fantastic job. Coach Hill does a great job getting those guys brought up to speed on what we're trying to do from the standpoint of the run game. Our offense runs through the quarterback, so it starts with him and works off of his abilities to be able to always get us in the best opportunity to move the ball forward, run or pass. And we do a lot of stuff in the gun. We do some stuff under center as well. We showed a lot of that towards the back half of last year. I think we're going to continue to build and grow in a lot of those areas, and the backs really complement what we're trying to do and fit all those areas of our offense. So I'm excited about it. I mean, how we work OTAs and mini camp is really more a walkthrough going against the defense, just more assignment driven, communication driven, sense of urgency as far as alignment and assignment and adjust pre and post snap, but walk through once the ball is snapped, so we're not getting any type of collision issues or any of those things. So, I mean, when we get to training camp, it's going to really give us a lot of good time to obviously go full speed. We got the pads on. That's where you really start to get a good feel for where you're at as an offense. And we're going to get really 2 good weeks of work against preseason opponents like Chicago and Indianapolis. So I'm excited about those opportunities as well, because they just present different looks than what our defense does. So it's just going to help us get a lot of exposure and get a lot of work on a lot of stuff. Like some runs that we have from the run game, just not good against our defense. You know, our defense plays a lot of that bare front, that heavy run box with the inside 3 coverage. So you're going to have these core runs to attack that, but you got to work on these other concepts too that you're going to utilize during the season. So it just allows us to work on those going against the Bears and the Colts in the preseason, because they're just different defensively than what we have with the Bengals. So it's fantastic. I'm excited about all that. We're going to get some great work in, and can't wait to get started.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great point. Having those 2 opponents, you know, in a short time frame, that breaks up the you know, like you're saying, master the mundane. That breaks up the mundane a little bit, you know, when the guys have to, you know, there's 2 different times where, okay, hey, this is different today, boys. We gotta get it together and get it together well. Jake Browning, when he took over, you know, that running game you get going, and then the play action pass that you guys were utilizing off that running game with him under center, man, it's like, well, that's starting to click pretty darn. That looks pretty darn nice. It's pretty darn sweet. And then Joe is such a gifted quarterback. I mean, you know, I know under center and shotgun, 2 different things. You're turning your head away from the coverage and the looks and all that. But boy, I mean, building on what Jake did to some extent, you know, and I'm not saying, oh yeah, put Joe Burrow under center 95% of the time or whatever, but to have the flexibility to do both very, very well, that's a nice tool to have in your toolbox, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, flexibility and multiplicity in offense is key to keep the defense on their heels.
Yep.
And they can never get a beat on what you're doing. I think Dan Pitcher and Zach done a great job this offseason, and kind of bringing all that to a point where we can incorporate and have a little bit more multiplicity in our approach. So I'm excited to get that going in the season, and I think it's only going to do great things for us. We've got loaded talent on the roster, and especially at all the skill positions, and you're just trying to maximize those guys' ability to make plays, and the more ways you could do that and put the fear of God in the defense, that they got to defend multiple things. Doesn't matter what those multiple things are. If it's multiple and it's in a system that's simple for your team to master it, then you really got something going pretty good there.
Yeah, you really do, and to have, you know, all this available to you, and like you say, based on defenses, what you're going to be presented that week, you can kind of pull, you know. That gives you that's tough to game plan for, you know. I mean, one week you're going to see this out of the Bengals offense, and next week you're going to see maybe not only wrinkles, but man, a little bit different package, a little bit different look here the next week, and everything that goes along with, like you said, trying to prepare for that, trying to determine, you know, it becomes guesswork. What might I get here if I do this? What might I get here if I do that? That's pretty darn strong. You mentioned going against teams that you're going to be going against at training camp. How about during the regular season? Hard Knocks loves Cincinnati, man. And of course, the Bengals now part of the AFC North, and Hard Knocks is dedicating themselves to the entire division in the month of December and into you know, the playoffs, hopefully. and when playoff positions are being determined and all that. And last year, the AFC North, everybody had a winning record. First time since 1935, 88 years that all 4 teams in the division have a winning record. So Hard Knocks is like, man, let's get after this competitive scenario right here down the stretch. What do you think that'll add to the equation? I mean, is it something like we got enough to worry about anyway? We're not going to worry about Hard Knocks. We're going to worry about winning games and making the playoffs. But what do coaches and players think about Hard Knocks being involved at that time of the season?
I can only speak for myself, and it's something that you're really going to, for me, ignore it. That's a neat thing for the fans to be able to kind of see, I guess, whatever they're going to be able to get behind the scenes type stuff. I mean, it's a great division. It's a meat grinder. It's by far the toughest division. It's nasty. So to be able to get a more inside look at all that, and as far as the end of the season with the competition, I'm sure that's going to be super exciting for fans to have access to, and that's great. So that's great for the fans. But for me, and I not a big deal. Nothing changes for us. It's just it's kind of the nature of the NFL. That's what they do, and that's what the fans crave, and that's what makes this such an exciting thing to be a part of. And it makes sense to me. I mean, I would definitely want to have this division showcased in that regard as well. So people a lot smarter in those areas than me obviously chose our division for all those reasons. So yeah, I mean, it is what it is. I mean, I don't really pay much attention to that kind of stuff. Like you said, I got plenty of other things to worry about than the Hard Knocks crew and whatever they're doing. So
I'll guarantee you, though, Coach, I can see Hard Knocks saying, "Oh man, look at these behemoths, man! Look at how big these guys are." I bet there's going to be like the biggest offensive line in the National Football League, 6'8", 6'8", 350 pounds, 360 pounds. It's like just monsters here with this offensive line. I can see that being a storyline, as well as, in my mind, from left tackle to right guard, all 4 of those potential starters, like we talked about, not only gone to a Super Bowl, won a Super Bowl, gone to the Pro Bowl. I mean, I think the offensive line is going to be an intriguing, interesting story for not just Hard Knocks at the end of the year, but I think for the entire season. Coach, you got to be excited about what the immediate future holds here for you.
Yeah, I'm extremely excited to be a Bengal and coaching the offensive line. Like you mentioned, it had some lot of fun parts for me to be a part of and coach and see how this whole thing plays out. It's going to be a lot of fun, and can't wait to get started here in training camp.
It's got to be the biggest group in totality that you've been around. Has there been a bigger offensive line, I mean, from a group standpoint, that you can recall in the National Football League? I'm struggling to remember one. I mean, this group is enormous, man.
Yeah, they're pretty big. I want to say in years past, maybe the Ravens had some big lines. I don't know as far as the measurables, but it's the biggest line that I've coached and been around. And what's impressive is not just the size, but the ability to bend, the ability to move, some suddenness in their movements. So it's some unique guys. They're a lot of fun to be around, and it's going to be even more fun when we put the big boy pads on and do some real work. So
I'm telling you, those big boy pads are going to be monstrous, man. Going to be big boy pads. So, Coach, you got guys that kind of size. That this month plus, it was like 5+ weeks. It's already ticked down a little bit here, but guys of that size, I know obviously they really have to take care of what their diet is and how they're working out and all that sort of thing in that time frame. Because let's face it, guys of that size can put on weight quickly, can take it off, quickly as well. But they have to be mindful of that kind of thing. I'm sure you guys everybody's talked to it, and I bet the players have talked to each other about it. And that's the thing. You got a bunch of leaders in that group, and talk about how they handle that type of thing. What is it like in that when you have the final meeting with them, and and you know that they're going to be communicating with each other. They're all communicating with you. Ted Karras just signs an extension, another year, the leader of that group in the offensive line. I mean, it's in a pretty good place in terms of taking care of that kind of stuff, taking care of that business, aren't they?
Yeah, we got a great room as far as their professional approach. Like you mentioned, Ted, great leadership. I mean, Kappa is what I would call the quiet leader in the room. You got Orlando Brown. I know he's down in Florida doing some training for this last month, and he's going to have Mims come out and join him to do some training together. So it speaks to, veteran pros pro teaching a young buck, what it means to take care of your body. That is, like you mentioned, as far as your weight and then the training right before the camp, camp starts. And Trent Brown's played a lot of football and he's been fantastic. He's right away helping out, adding some tips and little nuggets of info for the rook as well. So the room shares information. Older guys are willing to help the young guys. And that's not always the case, as you can attest, being a player in this league as well. So it's the culture in the rooms is really good and strong because of the players' attitudes, and their professional approach has been good and strong. So, and that just really speaks to a microcosm of the bigger team. It's how Duke and Zach has built the roster, and those are the type of players and men that we're looking to have in the room, because you're going to have ebbs and flows with the season. You're going to have adversity, and it's that football character that's going to get you through to the end to be in the position where you want to be to get through all that. So, but the room's good, the room's strong, and really like where we're at with that.
The Mims factor. Who is there anybody, Coach, that I don't know how big you are into comparisons, or this guy reminds me of this guy back in the day, or this guy reminds me of that guy. Is there anybody that Mims brings to mind to you, or is he a unique guy in his own right?
I think he's just a unique guy in his own right. I mean, 6'8", 350, can run like a deer. I mean, it's ridiculous. So he's a great young man. He's got a great personality. It's kind of always upbeat, always got a smile on his face. You can tell he just loves it all, loves the process, loves ball. So he's been a lot of fun to be around and coach, and the vets see that as well. So they really love helping him out and interacting with him as well. So he's done a great job fitting in the room, and he's his own unique animal. I mean, it's hard to explain. I'm not real big on comparisons overall. I think everybody's unique in that regard, but he's definitely unique.
Well, and you do have such great guys in terms of, it's a competitive deal. Everybody's fighting for a job, whatever that job might be, and everybody's got a role, and you're trying to expand your role. But everybody in that room, in the locker room and in the classroom and on the football field, from your offensive line standpoint, man, there's no hesitation to offer up and reach out and say, hey, young buck, I avoid this, do this. Here's what I found over the years. This works for me. I might work for you. And guys are really unselfish. I mean, the guys you have are really unselfish in that regard. And it's a two-way street. I mean, the young guys have to be, okay, check your ego, learn, be open to learning, like you say, what kind of questions you're going to ask. And you have all these people that are, it's like Football Encyclopedia Britannica right in front of you, man. I mean, it's utilize all that. That dynamic, I've seen that a little bit. That dynamic seems to be real strong with your group, Coach.
Yeah, it's really good. I mean, you've heard the stories of Ted Karras calling guys, like the day after we draft somebody or sign somebody, he's texting me to get their cell number to reach out. He's had a few gatherings at his house or after practice, guys like the old guys like Kappa or Orlando grabbing some of the other younger guards and tackles and doing some extra drills and trying to help them grasp some concepts and things that we're teaching them. And working with them extra afterwards. It speaks volumes. That's what you need is that kind of leadership and that tightness in the room. I mean, especially in the O-line room, it's a unit. You're judged as a unit. You got to have everyone playing as one. And from an intangibility standpoint, we're on top of it in that area. So that's huge for us. So it's exciting to be a part of that, and can't ask for a better group of men than to coach. So
I really like what you said about Mims joining Orlando Brown down there in Florida during this downtime. That says it all right there, man. It's like there's Orlando Brown, highly accomplished, and there's a young, eager rookie, just all ears, wanting to learn as much as he possibly can, and the veteran wanting to give it, open everything up for the young player, and the young player wanting to reach out and grab it all. That's all great stuff. That's all really, 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 really exciting stuff to hear. Can't wait for it, Coach, man. I think this group is going to be a special group, and look forward to when the pads come on and the guys start getting after it in July.
Yeah, that's what always separates, the line is when you start putting the pads on and you can really go to, do some real work. So you can do only so much. When I like to say we're in our underwear in the spring, and we maximize all those opportunities to the fullest extent of what the CBA allows us to. And
right.
And we got a great room of guys that love working, and they're always open to all the drills and little nuances. Like I'm real big on teaching part whole, breaking stuff down into those little pods, if you will, to teach the whole concept. You break it down in some parts that might be a little weird to explain what this drill's rolling into, this combo, this technique, or this set angle, this hand strike. So, but those guys were open to all that stuff and done a great job working hard. And but when you put the pads on, then you can start really working on a lot more variety of stuff as far as movement on the D line and having to adjust to that and really getting a better feel. I mean, that's why the game's played in pads, not played in your shorts. So the linemen need the pad work. Anybody in the box, I'm sure the D line and linebackers are thinking the same way as well. That's what you do for a living. That's what the game is for you. And then so we'll get a lot of good work in. Like I mentioned already, those 2 preseason games that we are going to get to practice against those 2 opponents will be huge for us.
Right.
Because they just complement and are different than what our defense gives us on a daily basis. So that's just going to be excellent work for us. And guys are eager and excited to get going.
Love it, Coach. Guess we'll end on this and appreciate all the time you carved for us. But a wise coach once told me, hey, an offensive line, it's 5 parts, but it's like a fist. Those 5 parts become a fist. That's not strong, but a fist, man, is strong. And you don't think about, curling your 4 fingers and wrapping your thumb. Well, that's the starting offensive line. But you're going to have probably a 10-man unit, maybe or close to it on the 53-man. And that's 2 fists. So get ready for some battle royale, Coach. I love it. Love it up front. You do a great job with them. You got a bunch of good guys, man. That's the thing. Your players are phenomenal players, but just outstanding human beings as well, Coach. You've done a great job, man.
Yeah, they're a lot of fun to work with. So like I mentioned, it's Duke and Zach have done a great job bringing high football character guys in, and that's just a microcosm of the locker room, and it's fantastic. So that's the NFL's a meat grinder. So you got to have the right kind of guys to be able to get through that thing and achieve whatever one wants to achieve. So we definitely got those kind of guys.
You and Coach Frazier do a great job, Coach. Can't wait till training camp. Here we go.
Here we go.
Thanks for your time, sir.
You bet. Thank you. Good seeing you.
Dave Lapham here, and every day I am grateful for my experience to have played professional football. As a player, I realize self-motivation, leadership, and appreciating your teammates are key. At First Star Logistics, you can use those same attributes to create the life you want for you and your family. Build your future by working hard like I did. You'll see results both on and off the field. Call First Star Logistics today and be part of our winning team.
Opportunity knocking.